Good evening. Welcome to everybody who is participating in the webinar of the 117th branch meeting. Today we have a very interesting topic by Haridas on the ISO 45001 management system standard. We go there in a minute. I'll first go through the branch updates and introduction. Just a update on the LinkedIn page. I see a very active responses to the LinkedIn page with a little over 1,700, almost 1,800 followers. I think it's a good number. We welcome, of course, more members and non-members to join the LinkedIn page, where you will see the latest IIRSM information available. One specific topic I'd like to share with everyone in this call is the invitation that has been sent out by the Abu Dhabi City Municipality on the lessons learned of the Safety in Heat campaign in Abu Dhabi. This is a free-to-attend workshop. I have sent out earlier this week a message via our WhatsApp group to invite anyone who wants to join. Just scan the code in the message, and that will give you direct access to the Teams meeting tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. So it's free to attend. It's a feedback from the Abu Dhabi municipality on the Safety in Heat campaign. Having said that as well, the end of the summer heat campaign, the midday break, is upcoming on the 15th of this week, so it's on Friday. Officially, the midday break is then over in the UAE. Having said that, temperatures are still up in the 40s, so I would kind of suggest to maintain the measures that are taken and be vigilant on any heat stress signs of staff. But yeah, the fact is that the summer heat midday break is ending this Friday, and we have had the worst in temperatures. So anyone who wants to attend, feel free to scan the link and then attend the session tomorrow. Training courses. For the remainder of this year, there is one course scheduled, Managing Health and Safety Risks, the Essentials, on October 10th and 11th. And then we start in 2024 again in January with Managing Risks, the Essentials, and in February, Managing Health and Safety Risks, the Essentials. For more information, reach out to the training department or have a look at the IIRSM website. Sign up for any of the training content as well. Branch meetings. Next week and in the remaining of September, beginning of October, there will be a Saudi branch meeting on the 19th. The Qatar branch will have their meeting on the 26th. The India branch on September 27th. Then we have Oman on October 3rd, Egypt on October 10th, and then our next branch meeting will be on the 11th of October. For those who are interested in attending any of the UK, Europe branches, I've listed a few until the end of September. There are more branches that have their monthly meetings. You can find those dates on our website as well, but the Northeast and Cumbria branch has a meeting on the September 19th. The topic is, what do we mean by risks? London branch on the September 20th, human error and human factors, and Northwest branch has a branch meeting on the 21st on barriers, enablers, and technical feasibilities. of cross-industry process safety data sharing. So anyone interested, sign up via the website. You will get an invitation, like you get the invitation for our webinars, and you can attend. Memberships, I'll just highlight it for those who are non-member, want to become member. There are many benefits, and there is still a discount on an annual membership. So please have a look at the website, sign up for your membership, and if you have any questions about the membership, reach out to the branch committee or reach out to myself directly. Our next branch meeting, as I mentioned, on October 11th, and then for the remaining of the year, we have sessions on November 8th and December 13th. Second Wednesday of the month. Today we have found Haridas willing to do a presentation on ISO 45001. If there's any member who wants to share some information, share some feedback, lessons learned from their summer heat campaign, for example, want to share a best practice, or just do a presentation on any of the topics he or she believes is interesting for the larger community, please let us know, and we can easily schedule in for any of the upcoming 3 branch meetings. I will hand over to Haridas, who will guide us through the ISO 45001 management system and welfare management. Haridas, if you're ready.
Yeah, it's okay. Let me to do the presentation sharing, please.
Yeah. Nice.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, all of you. The purpose of this presentation, ISO 45001, I believe all of the HSE professionals are nowadays going through this management system. I don't know, I'm slightly taking from 45001 towards how welfare management is incorporated with 45001 2018 management systems. See, my name is Haridas. I am the current vice chairman from for IIRSM UAE branch. See, probably you could have heard about lots of management systems like ISO 9001, 14001. These are all related to occupational, environmental management system, quality management system, etc. But with respect to health and safety management system, OSHA is a management system, HSE 65 is a management system, and even some companies, before this ISO 45001, there is a management system called OSHA's 18001. So there are different management systems, but in occupational health and safety, it was very later incorporated into ISO management system. It was incorporated in the year 2018 because we have waited for a long time. Normally we say safety is number 1 and safety is first, but still we waited to incorporate ISO management system, occupational health and safety management system under ISO, because there are so many reasons. Because there is no uniform legal requirement in health and safety. Even within a small country, within UAE, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, work at height. By definition, in Abu Dhabi it is 2 meters, and if you're talking to Dubai, it is 1.8 meters. That is so bringing uniformity is very difficult with respect to ISO management system. So we need to understand what is ISO, what is their, what ISO is basically looking into. All those things we need to understand. So I'm slightly taking into some of the evolution of ISO 45001. So we have taken elements from OSHA's 18001, ISO 31000, which is risk management. It is not just occupational health and safety risk. It is describing all kind of risk, including financial risk, business risk, all those things. ISO MMS framework, management system framework. 22, business continuity management. ANSI set 10. We have taken elements from American standards as well. And later in the year 2016, we started, thinking about a new management system. Officially, this management system implemented from the year 2018, September 2018. Yes, it's a kind of refreshment only because all people, nowadays you are working with ISO 45001, but some of the quick reminders, quick things that you need to be refreshed yourself, will be presenting in the forthcoming slides. So in general, management system normally talks about, it will be having so many subsets. If you talk about key components of ISO management system 45001, we'll be talking about policy, continual improvement, roles and responsibilities, communication, resource, audits, management review. All those things are the key components of management system. There are some management system which is written, some of the management system by default, by practice we are following in the system. Some companies, they will not be having a certification, even though they have some system to control the accident, to prevent the accident. So even that is a kind of a management system. But there are some countries, legal requirement itself is a kind of a management system. Example is OSHA. When OSHA was in its peak, it is required to every companies in the Emirates of Abu Dhabi should be having a certification from OSHA. It's a kind of a management system. But during the course of time, it was partially only HAD is now strictly implementing, but rest of the other entities are not fully implemented into that. Anyway, that is a second part apart. But as a whole, management system generally talks about there should be a system, there should be a culture, there should be a system to monitor and implement the system elements in the organization. So these principles, these ISO management principles are based on, we all know, plan, do, check, act. We'll be planning something that we need to implement 45,001. For that, we need to do lots of exercise. Like, for example, whatever risk assessment we have prepared, that needs to be developed, and we need to check as well. So how this risk assessment needs to be going to be checked? You need to do a compliance verification. Whatever control measures you have put forward in the risk assessment, that needs to be implemented at the site. So HSE inspectors, auditors will do a kind of random inspection stating that whether the control measures are effectively implemented or not. If it is not implemented, this can be considered as a gap. So that gap needs to be filled. We need to act on that. So this is the key components of the management system: plan, do, check, act. So for standardization, it's a worldwide federation, fundamentally from Geneva, Switzerland, approximately 140 full member countries and 200 technical committee members. Even UAE is a semi-member of standardization because some of the requirements like trade unions, all those things are not promoted in the country, so that we are having a partial membership only. The main objective of ISO, as I told you in the beginning, it is harmonization, equalization. So bringing uniformity is very difficult with respect to occupational health and safety. That is what I told in the beginning. Even within a country, work at height. I told you similarly the barrication requirement, edge protection barrications. Now, generally speaking, it should be above the hip level. But here we set some standards, set some guidelines. But depends upon the individual capabilities, it can be varied. So bringing uniformity is very difficult with respect to the individual capabilities, susceptibilities, etc. So bringing uniformity is very difficult with respect to health and safety, even though with the support of ILO. We all know what is ILO, International Labour Organization. They are playing a vital role, especially from the year 2000 onwards. ILO started playing a vital role with lots of conventions and ratification from ILO. The guidelines they have taken into the ISO standard requirements, incorporated their guidelines, and finally the 45,001 standard was officially released. There are so many guidance and support from ILO with respect to the implementation of 45,001, and ILO mainly focusing on the human rights, worker welfare, employee welfare. So here the core of my topic begins. How many organizations are focused on employee welfare, well-being? These things will be discussed. As a philosophy, ISO, whatever you said, you do it and document it. Earlier, this was the principle. Here, the word document is slightly changed from document to documented information. It is not necessary that you need to have a written procedure. Any media can be accepted. Rather than any complicated procedures, you can go for a procedure. A video presentation is acceptable, but only thing is that it should be traceable, and it needs to be audited. It needs to be, during the time of audit, it needs to be presented. As an auditee, you cannot search where the document is saved. So that is more, traceability is most important. So the word is documented information. I'm talking about, slightly I'm going diverting to the welfare management, why it is relevant with occupational health and safety standard. When we talk about welfare management, how many of HSE professionals really looking into the risk assessment of the organization, covering on the pantry, security system, accommodation, employee traveling from accommodation to the site, employees, individual employees using the transportations for sales and marketing purposes, and food and beverages, pantry, employees traveling for sales and marketing, and international traveling, employees international traveling, recreation facilities, and the people involved, family involved programs, visitor involved programs. Do you have a risk assessment for even public transport? Sometimes the employees are using some maintenance companies. They are using the public transport. Yes, it is purely related to the government. They are depending the government transport. But at the same time, after getting down, or after after getting down from the transport, they may have to travel from that location to the workplace. So how many organizations are really working on preparing these kind of risk assessment as a part of your occupational health and safety management system? With respect to ISO 45001, if you look at all the clause requirements, one clause number 4 talks about context of the organization. Context of the organization always talks about employees and the related parties, and how the internal and external interested parties. See, here public transport is nowhere related to the organization, but when the employees are using it, it is related to your business. So how it is going to get affected? Even your neighbors, what is happening in your neighboring organization? So you need to have a risk assessment for that. So all these aspects. So the best example I will tell you, these principles are rightly implemented from the World Cup football that was happened in Qatar. All these welfare management, they have given high priority. In UAE, the Expo 2020 projects was one example. Before selecting a contractor, they have asked the subcontractors, what about your accommodation? What is the standard of your accommodation? If your accommodation is not meeting our requirements, we are not selecting you as a contractor, which means they are indirectly auditing your welfare arrangements. There is a standard called SA 8000. SA 8000 generally talks about the employee welfare, well-being, social responsibility, everything. So nowadays, most of the organizations started auditing based on SA 8000. But we don't need to go for SA 8000. Even within 45001, this standard is well covered. This standard is well covered. So context of the organization means how your organization is directly or indirectly managing the well-being of the employees. Do you have a risk assessment for your accommodation? Do you have a risk assessment for your internal pantry, security systems? I have an example. They have, one company, they have hired a security guard, and he was not directly from the security guard company. To perform as a security guard in the organization, they should be undergoing a training program. It's similar to NABOSH, IGC and all. There is a separate training program for security guards. But for the cost-saving purposes, the company deputed a general visa person, a helper visa person as a security guard. And what happened in the night shift? He used the electric cycle for traveling from the from the company to get his food. Unfortunately, this guy met with an accident. See, such a major company, and by brand they are number one, but unfortunately they failed in selecting the suitable contractor for the security guard. Maybe one or two guys, But in the organization, each and every one's life should be protected. Here, big company, reputed company, they failed in maintaining the system by selecting a wrong contractor. So that we need to look at, so what point I am coming to say is that we need to look at all aspect of the, the contractors, employees, workers, visitors, every aspect of the people, those who are involved with the organization needs to be rightly addressed in your risk assessment, in your procedure, selection of contractors, evaluation of vendor. Unfortunately, I have seen a very bad practice that, the company will be selecting employees in the form of a vendor. By definition, vendor means they can only deliver the materials. But with this vendor agreement, with a single LPO, people are coming and doing the installation, maintenance. If anything goes wrong within your premises, organization will say that they are just a vendor. But if you look at the health and safety, the contractual clauses as well as the vendor definition, you have deputed a subcontractor instead of a vendor, and organization failed in the implementation of ISO 45001 management system in your organization. This is simple. You failed in selecting the right contractor for the right job, as well as you deputed a people, those who are not authorized to work at the site. They can come with the vehicle and they can deliver the material and they can go. They are not supposed to do the installation. They are not supposed to do the maintenance of the the product they are supplying. So these are all the areas we really need to look into. And if you promote the employees with the welfare management, 40% of the employee morale will be increased by involving employees in the welfare management. You need to know how many organizations are conducting annual get together. How many companies are providing any facilities to the employees? Most of the organizations know they will be focusing on the financial aspects. We have a target. This is the profit, and we need to complete within the time frame. But no, employees, they are also human beings. Every human life needs to be protected. By position, people may be varying from construction manager to the operation heads to the workers. But as a social commitment, as a responsible organization, everybody has the equal and same right to live in this world. Employees should be protected. And of course, if the health and safety culture is implemented, 35% of the culture will be implemented if you implement the 45001 in an effective manner. And 31% of the absenteeism also will be reduced if the organization effectively implement the welfare management. And by definition, what is well-being? We can slightly quote the definition from Abraham Maslow, who is a very good motivation writer. He has developed a theory of hierarchy of needs. In the hierarchy of needs, everybody has their own needs and expectation. But in addition to that, if you are giving something for their self-actualization or striving towards their health, or if you are promoting some of their professional activity through an upward strive, definitely it will be considered as a value added or boosting in your organization. So we need to look at these aspects, and welfare management is not separated from health and safety management. If you improve the health and safety culture, even a patch, even an appreciation, even a small recognition, it can prevent accidents. So directly it is not mentioned in the ISO 45001, but indirectly in many other places. A good example is the word called leadership. Leadership. Who is a leader? You don't need to become a CEO to become a leader. Even if you are a supervisor, under you 2 or 3 people are working, you are the leader for that particular people. You need to have a culture of appreciating these people. And if you provide some kind of motivational elements, definitely indirectly they will have an upper hand on you, and indirectly the accidents can be prevented. This is what the 45001 talks about. Physical work environment as well as psychological work environment. It is indirectly planned to check only. You can do a lot with respect to the welfare management. As what I told you, the personal health resources, you can provide any sports facility, recreation facilities, physical work environment, psychological motivation, employee award scheme, best employee of the month. So such things can be implemented. Of course, it will be a demonstration of the leadership and engagement. Of course, the worker will be involved more. Indirectly, the organization's ethics and values will be improved. There is again ILO. They brought up a solve training tool. So economic stress. Of course, people are coming to different parts of the world for maintaining their livelihoods. They need salary. So if there is a delay in salary, psychologically they are stressed. If there is no overtime for their actual work, they are psychologically stressed, and it can affect the organization. Definitely they need a healthy sleep. Again, accommodation. How many organizations are doing a real audit to the employee accommodations? Are they provided the facility in accordance to the Dubai municipality or Abu Dhabi municipality requirements, or no one is cared about? And physical activity, nutrition, tobacco. How many organizations, making an audit on the consumption of tobacco? Even I personally had audited an organization. There are, serious number of employee sickness absence, and they are claiming that back pain. What is the cause of the incident? Cause of the absence? They are telling back pain, but they are not involved in any heavy lifting or loading activity. And we gone deep into that organization. We could understand, the people are consuming a inferior quality alcohol, which is locally manufactured just behind the accommodation. I'm not specifically mentioning the brand name of that liquor, but very, very inferior. Even 2 dirham, 3 dirham, you can get that alcohol. And, they are gradually, they are going to have some kind of stomach upset, stomach pain, back pain, all these issues. And as an auditor, we identified these are the causes of this kind of repeated sickness. And the company made a marathon motivational campaign, and finally this could be prevented. So as a health and safety professionals, we can involve and look into all these aspects. And finally, ultimately, the objective of preventing accidents, maintaining the occupational health and safety standards can be implemented. So alcohol and drugs, violence, even the companies can look into the HIVs and AIDS, so all those things. So basically, these are the things that I want to be to highlight with respect to the welfare management. We need to look at all the gray area where our focus was not really reached into, especially in the accommodation. The culture, the best place of a culture is our home. Similar to that, the employees' accommodation. What are all the things that can go wrong from the accommodation? Whether it is covered in the risk assessment, even any social involving places. So those things needs to be covered in the risk assessment. Even you can take a very good objective, organizational objective from well-being also. How the employees' fitness can be promoted, or absenteeism, sickness absence can be prevented. If anything can be done from the camp and accommodation, these can be taken as a part of your health and safety objectives. And improving the quality of the food that going to be served in the accommodation. Do you conduct any kind of audits on the kitchen, pantry, or if it is supplied by a third-party company? What is the competency of that organization? What is the quality of the food? So such things also can be a part of your well-being and welfare management. Okay. Again, going back to the ISO 45001, it's based on a high-level structure. These are the main clause of the 45001 standard requirement. The clause number 4 talks about the context of the organization. Anybody who is related to directly and indirectly related to the organization, which includes, even a third-party company who is serving food for your organization can be a part of your context of the organization. Even the water supplying company. Have you ever checked the pH values and the content of the quality of the water, whether it can affect the the health of the employees? So anything which is related to the organization can be considered and it should be for the betterment of the people. Leadership, everybody has a responsibility. If the right leader, even a right supervisor, has the responsibility of demonstrating the leadership, if they have performed well, of course, the people under him, the health and safety will be improved. As a whole, organizational health and safety culture will be improved. And operational control procedure, SOPs. Some of the organizations, there will be a common SOP for emergency management that will be covering only fire management. But what is your actual operations? And with respect to the actual operation, what are the emergency management? If people are working at height, of course, fire can be considered. Similarly, what is the work at height operational emergencies? That needs to be a part of your operational control procedure, not just the fire emergency or other general emergencies. Apart from that, what is the actual work emergency? And even when you are preparing the emergency requirements, normally we need to consider the 4 factors: MEEP, material, environment, equipment, and people. And people always needs to be considered. Vulnerable people of determination, people have those who are having disabilities, age factor, gender factor, and of course young workers are always prone to action because they are eager to learn. We cannot blame them, but always there should be a kind of supervision for the right direction. Then only these young workers can be promoted. Similarly, loan working. Even loan working, we need to have an emergency management. And how, again, welfare, how it is connected to loan working. Anybody is having any health issues, diabetic issues, high BP, and even people are working at height. There is no system for measuring the phobia, but personally you can interact with that guy. Do you have any such kind of phobia? So if he is telling, if he is coming and telling you that, sir, when I am working on height, I have a kind of phobia. Of course, we need to assess him. And we need to be given some time frame that that you will be away from the work at height, and we will monitor, and we should not be directly deploying when the very high-rise levels. So we need to assess, and we need to evaluate, and all these things should be a part of your what you call the risk management principles. So these are all covering under the ISO 45000. These are the close performance evaluation you can do through inspections, and very importantly audits. Frequent audit needs to be conducted, and when you're preparing your procedures and risk assessment, kindly include all the possible areas from the welfare management. Very importantly, from accommodation. And how many companies are preparing the risk assessment for employee traveling from accommodation to workplace, long duration traveling. Some of the companies, the employees are starting early in the morning, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and they will be reaching at the site by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And the vehicle, the provided, there may not be having any AC. So have you covered all those things in your risk assessment? So these things needs to be a part of your welfare management, and you need to cover all those things. Okay. So context of the organization, when we talk about ISO 45001, wherever possible, you need to look at the risk. From the risk, what are the opportunities? You cannot identify opportunity from all the risk, but some of the risk, it can be considered as an opportunity, and wherever possible, you can implement the opportunities as well. So you rather than the work, apart from the workplace, you look at the welfare area where you can bring opportunities. Whether you can, you can give some good accommodation, or in some companies, the number of people are occupied in the rooms, which is not meeting the legal requirement, and people are dumped into the rooms. Whether such things are identified, whether it can be, implemented or not. If you have an opportunity, please discuss with some of the HSE engineers, those who have worked with Expo projects. It was a fantastic experience, and the place where these 45,001 requirements are rightly implemented with respect to the welfare management. Now, I heard, I'm not sure about it, but I heard all these things are rightly implemented in the NEOM projects in Saudi Arabia. So drastic changes happening in that part of the world as well. So procedures, records, even procedures records, you can use any media. This is what I want to add one more point. It is not necessary that every procedure doesn't needs to be in a written format. Even you can have any complicated procedure. Rather than writing into words, you can have a procedure which can be recorded in the form of a video presentation or all those things. So leadership and commitment. As a right leader, you have the right responsibility for implementing the procedures. So look at the hazard. What is the hazard you could identify here? You can see a crocodile, and if anybody more in detail go into that, you can see the water as well. So there is a probable risk of anytime these crocodile can come into lands. Now we can say that it is not affecting to me. Of course, it can affect to you as well if it is close to your organization. So what is the opportunity over here? You can have it. You can have an opportunity of you can think about something good. You can even think about a crocodile making a crocodile park. So from the risk, from the hazard, you identified the risk, and you can think about the opportunity, how far this opportunity can be implemented. By implementing the 45001 standards, of course, it's a meeting the policy objectives. Your system will be streamlined. Your risk and controls will be put into place, and you will be establishing an operational control procedures. You will be increasing the awareness of its OHS risk, and the performance of the organization will be involved. Workers' participation will be actively involved, and regulatory compliance will be involved. Workers will take an active role in OHS matters. So these are all the benefits. I'm not discussing all those things in detail. I believe all of the HSE professionals are familiar with ISO 45001. Only thing is that you please have a look and refresh yourself on the supporting areas with respect to the 45001. It's a beautiful management system if it is effectively implemented. Even the procurement has a vital role to play. Normally, always they will look into the cost aspects. Reduce the cost, reduce the price, reduce the cost. But even if they are purchasing a safety issue, they should be knowing that it should be complying the EN or ANSI requirements. If it is not, complied with, it is not meeting the requirements. So in conclusion, I want to give you a message that sleep gets it done on time. If as a health and safety professional, if your employees are having an opportunity to sleep well, of course, the risk will be reduced, and people fundamental well-being will be improved, and automatically the HSE culture in the organization will be improved. With that presentation, I believe I have concluded in a speedy manner, because it needs to be discussed. If you want to talk about ISO 45001, we can talk for hours. But please look at the welfare aspects and improve yourself in the organization, and be a active and role model ISO 45001 certified company. Thank you.
Thank you, Haridas. Thank you for your presentation. I think very good to get the overview. I think very good as well to get the focus on the welfare aspect. I often believe that the welfare aspect is put aside. We focus on the safety part, but I think it's an important one not to miss out on those topics. We got a couple of questions I would like to ask you. So the first question is from Satish, and with a question on what was the reason for OSHAS to change into ISO 45001? What was a couple of years ago the reason for the change?
Yeah, fundamentally, OSHAS is not a ISO standard. It is only a British standard. British standard means it's not an international standard. It's not. See, some companies, they have accepted the British standard, but it is not incorporated under ISO standard. Later, see, the 45001, of course, they have taken the elements from 18001, but they made into a broader perspective, international standard. As what I told you in the beginning, there are no uniform law in health and safety. For quality, what is the tolerance level? Okay, you can say that, okay, 0.5 mm is the tolerance level. But in safety, it's always zero tolerance. But there is no uniform law. That is what I told you from the beginning. In Abu Dhabi, what is actually work at height? Even if you are working on a hollow bricks, it's a work at height. See, some of the companies, like for some best practice companies like Adnob, even, if they are working from the normal level, they are considering it as a work at height. So where this, the term work at height we got, we are always measuring the length of the lanyard of the safety harness. See, generally it is 1.5 meters. Even there is a fall, the head portion should not be going and hitting on the surface. That is the logic of this, the work at height. But, see, 1.5 meters is the general concept. But some companies, they have, some countries, they have put 2 meters. Some countries, they put 1.5 meters. Because of the non-availability of a uniform standard, uniform legal requirement, it is varied. Even I will give you another example, the work at height. Basically, I'm generally talking about, if you talk about the people from Africa, normally they will be very tall. What is the general requirement of an edge protection barricade? It should be above the heat level. Sometimes, it will not be reaching to that level. So the purpose will not be meeting with. Take an example from some other Asian parts, like from China and Japan, all these people, they are short in general in nature. If you put 1.1 meters, it will be more than the required level. So bringing uniformity is a very tough task. That is what I told you in the beginning, involvement of ILO. ILO played a vital role. You don't go for measurements. You don't need to go for a measurement. Rather than you look at the guidelines. What is the guidelines? If take an average of the people and what is the requirement of these requirements. So that is why beautifully this standard is there. That is the reason I told you in the beginning. That is, normally we say safety first, but we waited till 2018 to incorporate this standard in the ISO standards.
Yeah, in addition, I would like to say I think it's a part of harmonization as well. I think the structure of 45,001 aligns very well with 14,001, the environmental part, or 9,001, the standard part. So exactly. That is more harmonized than the OSHA standard. And what I always believe is that the OSHA's, the approach was more focused on risks. Exactly. In OSHA's 18,001, where if you look at 45,001, it's more a proactive approach. As exactly. Haridas mentioned, it's. No,
I did not cover. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But also on opportunities. Yeah.
Yes, risk and opportunity, process approach. Generally, earlier OSHA's, they will ask, do you have a risk assessment? And the auditor will be satisfied. But nowadays the auditor is asking, do you have a risk assessment for that particular task?
Correct.
If it is a spray painting, you need a risk assessment for spray painting rather than a manual painting. So this is the difference. Yeah.
Okay. I got one more question here because I think Musafir had a similar question. Is there a big significant change between 18,001 and 45,001? I got one more question from Justin Joseph. During your presentation, Haridas, you showed a percentage related to the benefits of investing in health and safety and well-being. Is that based on a study or statistics, and are you able to share that information with the colleagues?
I have taken the element from a research study conducted by ILO in cooperation with BSI. BSI is one of the major certification body. I have taken the element from them. Okay.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions popping up. So if there are no further questions from the attendees, then thank you very much for your attendance. I hope it was a valuable session. I believe it definitely was good to get that, specifically the welfare part highlighted. But then I wish you a pleasant evening. Take care. And I hope to see you all next month at our next webinar. Thank you very much.